Hi everyone, this is Pablo again. We're now on video 18 in this weight loss video series. This one is titled Putting What We've Learned into Practice. So what to expect? You can expect weight loss, increased energy, clarity of mind, improved sleep, decrease in heartburn, elimination of canker sores, skin improvement, and decrease in inflammation. That last one, decrease in inflammation, is an important one that I never really truly understood what was going on. But you know, everybody knows, oh, somebody got on a diet, oh, those first few days or whatever, they lost a lot of weight. Oh, it's just water weight, don't worry about it. I always thought, well, where's that water coming from? Where's it stored? Where in our organs do you have that many pounds of water? Didn't make sense. Turns out that our body responds to injury by inflammation. You probably know this. You twist your ankle gets inflamed. That's actually water going in there into those cells and getting, basically helping the body to fix the injury. So then how do you have inflammation throughout your body? When you eat bad carbs and processed foods and sugars and all these things, when you're eating tons of them, your body literally feels it's under attack. So your cells throughout your body are storing water. And then suddenly you go on this diet where you cut all the bad stuff out. Carbs, sugars, everything's gone for days. And your body notices it and says, oh, okay. And it stops holding on to that water. And that's where you get that release of water. But in addition to this decrease in inflammation, you're also going to see your body's basically going to be able to take care of it. So in a way, it hasn't been able to take care of itself until now, until this diet is implemented. All right, figuring out your macronutrients: protein, fat, and carbs. So we already know there's 3 macronutrients: protein, fat, carbs. We need to start to figure out what are the percentages for each one of those 3 that we should be eating. So first off, before we can do that, is we need to figure out what is our body fat percentage. We talked about BMI in one of the very first videos. That's not as accurate as a caliper. It's close. I've used both and measured myself, and it's close. Caliper, a skinfold caliper, is available on Amazon for $6. I have one here. Just Google this: AccuMeasure body fat caliper, $7. So you can do that and quickly get a caliper, and then watch some videos online about how to use it so you can properly measure it. But when you have those figures that it tells you to measure your triceps, and I'm not going to pronounce these words because they're umbilicus, I know, so suprailiac, I believe. And I hear some instructions on how to do it. V means vertical pinch versus vertical pinch is up and down, so you're pinching from the sides. And the instruction on where you should be measuring with the skinfold measurement, the skinfold caliper, are right here. Once you have those values, you then go over to the Keto Diet app. And this is the Keto Diet app. You can come into this page, and I'm going to put the links for these in the video notes, but you come in and you pick out your gender. So I'm going to type in my values here so you can see how it works. 51. Here's my measurements. It tells me to type in those measurements. I'm not going to type them in, but I don't remember actually what the amounts were. But let's say triceps, suprailiac is 35, let's say, and let's say this is 42, and this was 22. I actually did go through this process. I'm sure I wrote them down. But here's what it comes up with. Once you type in your values for your in millimeters measurements for the various body parts, it comes up with a percentage. Here's your body fat percentage. All right. So then it tells you that you can now use that body fat percentage here to go into the Keto Diet Buddy to calculate your macros. So you come into this app You tell it what kind of measurements you're using. U.S. customary. You're male, 51 years of age. There's your weight. Although mine was, when I started this, was 198. I'm 5'10". Sedentary. I work at my computer all day long. Body fat, if you recall, the previous one said 31, so I'm going to go with 32 and percentage. And then net carbs, how many carbs do you want to eat? This is what this means. Do you want to eat 20 or up to 50? The lower you go, the more hardcore you are, the more likely you are to lose weight and everything. But I wouldn't go below 20%. But I'll leave it at 25. So then it calculated my macros with just that information there. If I'm in maintenance, this is the macronutrient breakdown. If I want to use, if my weight loss is, my goal is weight loss, then it gives me my breakdowns if I want to eat a small percentage of calories, or sorry, a large percentage of calories, and this is the key word here, is deficit. So the small number of calories that you're going to eat, this is 1,800 calories, which is quite a bit. If you're moderate, you want to get on it, but not hardcore, then it's 1,500. But if you really want to get into this diet, then you want to shoot for this, the large calorie deficit. And in this case, you notice that my macronutrients are broken down this way. 68% coming from fat, 24% from protein, and only 8% is carbs. So not only does it give you the percentage of your macronutrients that you need to eat, but it gives you the actual numbers of grams of each that you need to eat. All right? And it breaks it down into calories. How many calories of each? They should all add up. Remember, in one of our most recent videos, I gave you a list of all these foods with the breakdown of calories, or breakdown in grams of fat and protein, etc. That's kind of the idea behind that, is that you then pick out the foods you want, put them together so that it matches this percentage of your calories. All right. So then, at that point, I'm gonna go back to the video or the presentation. At that point, you can you have a way, in essence, to understand what you're supposed to, the percentages of things you're supposed to eat. But there's an even better piece coming up next here that we're going to get to. I'm already quite a bit further than I want to go in this video, but let's keep going. Another way to get your body fat percentage is by using the digital scale option. Just buy a digital scale that actually has metal holders for your hands, and it'll kind of calculate. It's kind of accurate. It's not perfect, but it's close. Then you proceed, once you have all that, you proceed to the macronutrient page. As I mentioned below, I showed you that you type in all of this information and it gives you your macronutrient percentages, like here. This is pretty close to what it gave me this time. So I already covered all of this, basically how it works to give you that stuff. Planning your meals. Now we know how many grams of protein, carbs, fats we need. But how do we figure out what foods and what meals we need to eat and stick to those macronutrients? There's two ways to do it. The second way, I'm going to start with the second one, which is the one we already know, which is manually. You go through and you figure out every food you like, every food you can eat that is a protein, fat, or hardly no carb, but mostly protein and fat. You calculate all of them, figure out how many carbs, how many grams of protein, and how many calories, more importantly, each one will give you. And then you figure out what gives you 65% of fat, 25% protein, and only whatever of carbs. That's the manual way. You probably don't want to do that. There's a better way, and there's a website called Eat This Much. If you're not familiar with it, I strongly recommend it. I use Eat This Much, and my wife does as well. You can use the website Eat This Much. We have, I'm going to disclosure here at the bottom. Disclosure: I'm not affiliated with Eat This Much. I'm not paid by Eat This Much. I simply think it's a perfect tool for putting this kind of a diet and fasting in together. But there is a premium version, costs $9 a month, which I think is extremely well worth it because of what it does. All right. You go into Eat This Much, and it asks you what kind of diet do you want to do. Are you doing this, that? You can pick the keto diet right there and tell it, I'm going to do keto. The website's going to walk you through similar steps as above as far as the to figure out your macros. But I found that they were too heavy on protein and carbs and not enough fat. So the great thing is you can change the macros that it comes up with. The website Eat As Much comes up with. Change them yourself to what you found in the Keto Buddy website, which is a little more, I found a little more aggressive, which I want. I don't want to take it easy and take a year to lose some weight. You enter then information such as weight, height, etc. And how many pounds do you want to lose? It asks you that as well. And then it's going to show you a list of foods. And you can say, I like this, I don't like this food, I don't like this kind of food, or I'm allergic to this food, I don't want to eat it. And it keeps all that in mind. It then generates a daily menu for the next week of your meals. And every one of the meals every day is going to perfectly, or not perfect, I shouldn't say perfectly, closely match what your macronutrient percentages are. It breaks it down for you so you don't have to. It comes up with the meals. If you have a meal that you don't like, you can click refresh. It'll come up with another meal that has close to those macronutrients. Now, it's going to ask you also, very importantly, how many meals per day you want to eat. 1 through 4. I picked 2. I don't want to eat breakfast. I don't want to. I'm fasting as well as keto dieting, so I limit my window. I'm actually going. There's a fasting schedule called the Warrior schedule, which is you only eat through 4 hours, a window of 4 hours. So I tend to eat between usually 5 to 9, but 4 to 8, somewhere in that. I try to keep it in that one little window. 20 hours of fasting, nothing but water, maybe some black coffee with some sucre drops. But basically, if you only pick 2 meals or 1 meal, you're in essence automatically fasting, because it's going to be only 1 or 2 meals. Do not pick 3 meals. Do not pick 4 meals. Pick 1, 2 at the most. And if you pick 2 meals, compress them to a certain number. Remember, we talked about fasting. 6 hours. Only eat during those 6 hours. And eat both meals at the beginning of that window and at the end of that window of 6 hours. You eat. The rest of the time, water, and that's it. Next thing that's really cool about it is it can email you a weekly shopping list on all the meals that you picked. It gives you the amounts of every ingredient that you need to buy. It'll tell you need to buy this many grams of whatever, protein, your meats, and everything. Everything you need to buy to make those 7 days of recipes. It'll email it to you on your phone. You'll have it when you go shopping. You can even, if you use the web app, the iPhone app or Android app, if you use the app, Eat As Much app on the phone, when you go to the list of shopping items, as you shop it, you can just swipe it off until you bought it. You put it in your cart. You're ready to go. Next one. And that's a real easy way to kind of go with your shopping. But you can also get the email. The manual option, I'm not even going to cover. I already told you it means you got to figure all of that by yourself manually. It's quite a bit of work. So regardless of which method you use, remember that eat only 1 to 2 times a day. Make sure to match and not exceed the protein, particularly protein. Do not eat too much protein. The failures I've had in the past when I tried the keto diet was that I thought keto meant, you can eat as much protein as you want. Wrong. If you don't eat enough fat, if you only eat a certain amount of fat and you eat a lot of protein, what happens is the body's not getting enough out of the food you're giving it. So it turns over to the protein and says, I can turn the protein into glucose. It takes the protein and converts it to glucose, the worst thing you can do. So it starts to use that, and you end up not getting the weight loss. It stops using your stored fat. So it starts using the protein by converting it to glucose. So if you keep your protein low and fat high, you're going to get all the nutrients, all the energy and the calories you need from your body. Your body's going to be happy. It's not going to turn to the protein. If you can put off until lunch, do so. That's intermittent fasting automatically. If you're not hungry, don't eat. If you're not hungry, don't eat. I don't know how many ways we can emphasize this. You're not supposed to eat 3, 4, 5 meals, 6 meals a day. That's ridiculous. We're not supposed to. We weren't designed for that. Only eat if you're truly hungry. We've forgotten, and I learned this. You really forget what it is to be hungry when you eat the American diet. You really don't remember what it even is to be hungry. What you think is actually, I'm hungry, if you're eating a regular American diet, actually it's thirst. once you get into this diet of eating with fasting, you're going to get into the fasting window where you're not eating anything, and you're going to find yourself, I'm hungry. And then you suddenly drink some water, you drink a glass of water, you realize, oh, that hunger feeling is gone. I wasn't hungry, I was thirsty. So keep that in mind. Remember, drink your weight in ounces, your weight divided by 2 in ounces every day. Salt, use salt as needed. It's a mineral. The body uses and needs salt. That's one of the crazy things it told us not eat. It's ridiculous. Drink a glass of water with 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar and 1 of lime juice. It really helps with the digestion. If you're not eating sufficient amounts of fish, consider adding omega-3 supplements. Look into MCT oil. It's a great source of fat. I need to get into that a lot as well. But anyway, stop eating low-fat or no-fat foods. Don't buy anything that, including protein, including the meat products, or dairy products, say low fat. Do not buy low fat cheese, low fat, no fat, or whatever. Do not buy anything. Buy regular food the way it came. You need to change your thinking. Fat is good. Dietary fat. Fat you eat is good. Video 19 is the last one, and we're going to work on all of these things. We've already started. I'm going to start documenting what we did, how we did it, and what our results have been so far. It's only been 1 week, all right? But we're both happy with where we are, and I think we're going to continue this regardless because it's not difficult. Once you acclimate your body to burning ketones instead of glucose, your body forgets about these pangs of oh, I need to eat. Right now, I haven't eaten since 7 o'clock last night. It is now, what time is it? 2:14 in the afternoon. So do the math. 8 to 8 is 12 hours. And from 8 o'clock to now is 6 more hours. 18 hours. So I haven't eaten in 18 hours. And I don't feel hungry. Because I'm burning ketones. And I know that because previous video, how to test your ketones. I've tested my ketones. I can see both times. Only done it twice so far. Each time it was specific to what I wanted to check, but I tested it, and in both times I was well into ketosis. Blood ketones, guaranteed. If you're in ketosis, that's the way to measure. Again, go back to the video on measuring ketones. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you want to see the last video, really is video 19, and that's where we're going to talk about what we did. We're going to cover how we progress and what we've countered that was hard or not hard or easy or benefits, things to do, tips. We'll cover all those over a series of videos coming up. So subscribe, click the little bell icon if you can, and we'll continue from there. Have a great day.